We are the Force. We are the Force.
The final days of spring training are here for the Rays, as opening day is just 6 days away. With the roster basically set, one big decision still looms, as the 5th starting spot is still up for grabs. And today, big right-hander Jeff Neiman makes his bid for the rotation. Spring training baseball starts now on Sun Sports. The Grapefruit League schedule rolls on as we greet you this afternoon from Port Charlotte, Florida. Skies are clear. A cool afternoon for baseball as the Rays meet the Toronto Blue Jays. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an afternoon of Rays baseball, spring training style. With the rest is Destrada. I'm Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. We'll be hearing from Todd Callis and the newest addition to our crew, Kelly Nash, throughout the afternoon. Well, spring training, by any standard, tends to be a little long when you get to the final week. Players are ready for this thing to be over.
They really are. I mean, due to the WBC, Dwayne, it has been a little bit of an extended spring training, and it can get a little stale. The key right now for both teams, really, is to stay healthy, not get sustained big injuries, and just get your work in leading up to the first pitch.
And at this point, the roster pretty well set. The Rays have made a couple decisions. One regarding the catching situation. It will be Jose Lobaton here. Chris Jimenez with an option goes to Durham. And Jamie Wright, the veteran right-hander, has made the staff. And Brandon Gomes, with options left, will go to Durham. And here this afternoon, the one spot that's still in contention would be that 5th starter spot, and Jeff Neiman will go to the hill, trying to make his best case.
Well, it seems like Jeff Neiman, Dwayne, every spring battles for that 5th spot. Remember, he battled against last year against Wade Davis and won that 5th spot. For me, I think it makes more sense for him to win it again because he's not really made to be a bullpen guy with that big 6'9", 6'10" body, a lot of moving pieces. I think Roberto Hernandez might fit that bullpen swingman role a little better.
We will have a full lineup here this afternoon. The Rays and the Jays square off. We'll talk with Andrew Friedman. He'll be with us in the second inning of this telecast. He'll be followed later by the esteemed pitching coach, Jim Hickey, coming up in the bottom of the 3rd. As we move into the middle part of the afternoon, Derek Shelton, the Rays hitting instructor, will be with us in the top half of the 5th inning. And when we return, Sam Fuld will be interviewed by TK Todd Callis. All of that and more coming up from Port Charlotte, Florida.
BMW, Lexus.
Welcome back to Charlotte Sports Park in Port Charlotte, Florida for the Rays' final telecast of the spring training season as they take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Joining us now, is Rays outfielder Sam Fuld. Sam, I know after last year where you were limited with injuries, you probably wanted to get a full spring training, but it hasn't been the case. You're back now, trying to get everything in a condensed amount of time done before the first day?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing in a few games on the minor league side and getting a lot of at-bats over there, so trying to kind of make up for lost time, and luckily been feeling comfortable and excited to get back in a big league game now.
Have you been able to fully test the hamstring?
Yeah, I've done a lot on the bases. I really have done just about everything, scoring from second, going first to third, tagging up. I've got some action out in the outfield, too, so I really tested it in just about any way you can imagine.
Normal rules today, but in the minor leagues you can bat every inning, right? What's that like?
Oh, it's weird. The other day I faced Archer in an inter-squad game 6 times. And that might have been the worst day of my life. No, it was actually really helpful, but it does feel weird. It's definitely something I'm not used to, but, luckily I'm back to real rules now.
All right, Sam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
All right, guys, we are ready for baseball. Back upstairs to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. Baseball, the Blue Jays and the Rays. Blue Jays come in 13-16 in the Rays for the spring, and won 15 and dropped 15 after a quick start. Toronto will have Emilio Bonifacio to lead it off. He's at second base, followed by Rajon Davis. And Meiser Sturis hits third and plays third in front of the first baseman, Adam Lind. Center field, Kobe Rasmus. Henry Blanco will do the catching. Ryan Langerhans is in right field. Mike Nikias is the DH, catcher by trade. Peter Mooney is at shortstop, batting ninth.
And on the mound, the big guy, Jeff Neiman, all 6'9". As I talked about in the pregame, a lot of moving pieces here. He's got to be on point. Tries to pitch downhill. It's very difficult to pick up his fastball if he's up high, nice, and downhill moving with that two-seamer. Good curveball. And he'll mix in a slider. This guy is pitching really for that fifth spot right now. And not a very good outing the last time out, Dwayne. Gave up 10 hits and 5 runs.
It's been an interesting matchup all spring between Roberto Hernandez and Jeff Neiman.
Here's our defense. Jose Molina behind the plate. Sean Rodriguez getting a start at first base. Ryan Roberts at second. Evan Longoria third. Yunel Escobar at short. And the outfield, Sammy Fuld back over there in the familiar spot in left field. Desmond Jennings at center. And Mr. Everything, Ben Zobrist in right field.
Joe Maddon, in his 8th season as the skipper of the Rays. Rays will be wrapping up the Port Charlotte portion of spring training with this matchup here this afternoon. Here's Bonifacio to lead it off and playing second base. This pitch is a strike call delivered by Jeff Neiman. Travis Carlson calls the balls and strikes. Center, Desmond Jennings right there. That's the first out.
Good first out. A lot of speed all of a sudden for this Toronto Blue Jays team that they didn't have as much last year. Just look at the first 3 hitters, which may not be, Dwayne, the normal first 3 hitters. Obviously, we're missing Edwin Encarnacion and Bautista in this game, but major speed with Bonifacio, Isturiz, obviously Rajon Davis.
Ball on to Davis. Davis stole 46 bases last year, and he's not going to play every day.
How about that?
He's one of their backup outfielders now.
And he's had 3 jacks this spring. He'll surprise you. It's a lot of fastballs because of the fact that you want to keep him off base. He's got a little bit of pop.
1-1 to count. There's the Blue Jays adding Jose Reyes with his 40 to 50 stolen bases a year. Rodriguez at first takes care of this one from Davis. So this Toronto club is going to be interesting to watch this year with all the new faces and the addition of some significant talent.
There's John Gibby Gibbons back again in his second stint as manager for the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's been handed the proverbial silver platter.
Yeah, he was there 04 and in the part of 08. And as you saw, those numbers broke even. Stewart up here.
He's a former catcher. Very smart, very cerebral guy. Back during that tenure, he was a little, I think, feisty, and maybe he's toned it down a little bit. But I think he's, as far as his managing acumen, he's very smart.
1-2. Even in a battle with Roberto Hernandez for the 5th spot. It's Ryan Roberts, and it's a 1-2-3 first for Neiman against the Blue Jays. Rays are coming in to hit here in Port Charlotte. No score. Rays coming in ahead in the bottom of the first inning this afternoon from Port Charlotte. No score. Joe Maddon has Desmond Jennings leading off, and Sam Fuld in the lineup for the Rays. Evan Longoria hits third, then Ben Zobrist cleanup. At first base hitting 5th, Sean Rodriguez. Mel Escobar, the shortstop. Jose Lobaton, the DH, in front of Jose Molina, who will do the catching, and Ryan Roberts, the second baseman, hits 9th.
And on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays is J.A. Happ, former Philly. Crafty, tall, lanky lefty. Reminds you a little bit of Mark Burley, who they also have in this rotation. He's had a great spring. You see the under 2 ERA. Going to give you fastballs, a lot of changeups, a lot of two-seam sinkers. Spots very well. Nice little slurve breaking pitch.
Desmond Jennings takes the first pitch he sees for a ball, and Jennings has been doing a lot of that this spring. Joe Maddon is very encouraged by what he's seen from Desmond Jennings at the plate. He pretty much knew what he was going to get from him in center field. And the Rays figure to be, all things considered, stronger defensively in center because of Jennings, because he's so good out there. But Maddon wants Jennings to be patient at the plate out of that leadoff spot. And he has drawn 9 walks this spring and has seen a lot of pitches in his at-bats. Right side, Bonifacio out, Langerhans, and it makes him catch.
Let's take a look at the Blue Jays on the defensive side. Henry Blanco, the veteran, who beat out Josh Toll, gets they can start at catching. Adam Lynn at first base, the veteran. Emilio Bonifacio, there's some of the speed. Mycelia Estruz at third base, very flexible and can play anywhere. Peter Mooney at short. In the outfield, again, a lot of speed. Davis. Colby Rasmus. And Langerhans in right field.
Fuld ahead in the count. He had the right hamstring issue, and he gets a start. Grapefruit League action. He's been starting some minor league games in recent days. So with opening day just around the corner, he is happy to be back in the regular lineup and get some at bats. It's Lynn, and he'll flip the toss to Happ. off the mound to cover. And let's take a look at Fuld going down the line.
This is key. I mean, it's spring training, so it really doesn't matter as much. What matters is how well he's moving. And, you know, Dwayne, I'm going to be honest with you. I think, you know, he looked at a 90%, 95. He may not be at 100% clip, but good enough that we're not seeing any limping or anything like that. So it's still a work in progress for him to you know, get some of that tenderness out of the way.
Evan goes after the first pitch. Longoria fouls it out of play for a strike. Yeah, Jay Happ has had a very good spring, and he's made this rotation. He'll be the 5th starter in Gibbons' rotation.
And that's something when he basically beat out Ricky Romero, who in a lot of people's books just a couple of 3 years ago was arguably one of the best lefties in the American League. And Ricky kind of lost it last year, and he's been kind of set down per se, because it's not really that he's going to AAA. They're going to just keep him with the A-League team to work some things out. He got the win yesterday, Ricky Romero did, but John Gibbons not real convinced that Ricky's back to old form.
Yeah, he had a very tough stretch as Longoria walked. Romero got off to a pretty good start last year, the first couple months, but he hit early June and had hardly any success at all from that point forward. So he's not even in the rotation as the season begins. For Toronto, they're going to have R.A. Dickey and Brandon Morrow, Josh Johnson and Mark Burley, and then Happ.
That's pretty good. That's a mixture of righty, lefty, hard, slow, and then a knuckleballer. That's impressive. So I was talking about the silver platter for Gibby, the manager, John Gibbons.
Well, and with that comes expectations, sure, and pressure to succeed. Strike the count to Ben Zobrist. And lifts it toward right center. Langerhans is there for this one. So we're at the end of one. The Rays nothing and the Blue Jays nothing. Scoreless, the Rays and the Blue Jays. Reminder, all Sundays throughout the season are Family Fun Days presented by the Tampa Bay Times. And Sunday, August 7th, kids 14 and under will receive an Evan Longoria wall cling presented by Matchup Promotions while supplies last.
First baseman number 26, Adam Lynn.
A 1-2-3 first for Jeff Neiman. He made just 9 pitches in the first. He'll face Adam Lynn, Colby Rasmus, and then Henry Blanco in the second. pitch strike to Lynn. Joe Maddon was saying either this evening or tomorrow they should have a decision on who will be the 5th starter. And that will pretty much wrap up the competition for roster spots, barring injury or such. And yesterday, Roberto Hernandez up in Clearwater against the Phillies for 4 innings was lights out. And the 5th and 6th, not so good.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit ago, you and I.
I mean, he really looked good to start that game. I thought he was throwing the ball great.
I didn't see the game. All I saw was some of the highlights of him getting nicked up and getting beat up. Because it's one of those games that if you say that, but I look at the box score the next day, it doesn't read that.
It really was a night and day performance. Here's Jennings taking care of Lynn, 1 away. And so it'll be interesting to see what the Rays do with that and how Neiman performs today, and who will wind up as the 5th starter and who will wind up then essentially as a long man in the bullpen.
Yeah, it's tricky because if one is going to wind up as a long man, which kind of was a similar situation last year at this time with Wade Davis and Jeff Neiman going at it for the 5th spot, you can't help but think that Roberto Hernandez with the more elastic arm, with the more durable body, is suited better to go into the pen. The biggest issue for Jeff Neiman, in my book, this is me personally, has been injuries. Because when he's been at 100% clip, I can go back to 2010, the first half, when he was just lights out. And then he got injured. And then last year he got injured again. This guy has the potential to be a 13, 15-game winner.
And here's the other thing about Neiman. When you break him down and what he does inside the American League East, he's been a winning pitcher, a very good pitcher against tough competition inside the division.
Great pitch right there.
How about that? Rasmus called out.
He's not throwing real hard today. We're seeing fastballs at around 88 to 90. But look at as I was talking downhill, look at that pitch kind of go from basically about 7 foot or more high, actually taller, because when he stretches his arm out up high, 12 feet, and the angle, hard to pick up for a hitter. And then when you paint the black, that's his forte. That's his main attribute.
Well, that's his 18th pitch right there. He's thrown 14 strikes out of 18 pitches to start this one. But again, Roberto Hernandez came out and threw very well for 4 innings in the game yesterday. And then things caved in on him.
You know, and again, you mentioned how well he did against the tough competition. Several of those have been on the road. I remember a Yankee game that he pitched for at Yankee Stadium, at Fenway. He's a gamer. Here's a great example of pitching downhill while you're talking about. He's 6'9", basically on the mound. He comes up hovering about 12 feet. Coming down at you, the ball sinks. There's a little two-seamer. And there's a lot of movement as a hitter, hard to pick up.
Escobar takes care of the roller, and it's another 1-2-3 inning. Rays half of the second coming. No score. To Port Charlotte, we go to the bottom of the second inning. With Orestes Destrada, Dwayne Stats. It's a beautiful day here. Rays and the Jays scoreless. And we'd like to welcome the newest addition to our crew, Kelly Nash. And Kelly, in a way, it's homecoming, isn't it?
It is. It is so amazing to be back in my home state. Unbelievable how one phone call can really change your life. I was working in Charlotte, North Carolina, but from Florida originally. Got a call a couple weeks ago from Fox Sports that I was hired to cover the Rays baseball team, especially social media. So fans, I'm here for you. Tweet me at Sun Sports Rays. Any questions you have for the players, the broadcasters, I will cover it all. Now, Dwayne, I heard you're still not on Twitter, so you may have missed this story. David Price is not only giving away $25.50, he's giving away 100 tickets to the Rays home opener on April 2nd against the Orioles, of course. Now, you do have to follow him on Twitter, though. David Price 14. He will announce on there how exactly you can find him this weekend to win those tickets. Of course, now I'm hearing rumors of a possible egg hunt, maybe an Easter egg hunt, guys.
Wow.
Well, David Price is very busy. Not only is he preparing to pitch opening day and anchor this rotation, but making tickets available and perhaps an Easter egg hunt. In regard to Twitter, Kelly and I were off to such a great start, and then she drops out on us.
Great job by Kelly Nash. Welcome aboard. And I think she dropped the gauntlet on you per Twitter. So I'm just saying, something for you to maybe consider.
Well, you know, when she said that she would handle the whole thing, take care of it, wouldn't have to worry about it. So if she's willing to do that, what a great gesture.
There's a veteran of over 5,000 games that he just got in. All right, I'll throw it right back at you, kid.
1-2 the count to Sean Rodriguez. He'll be followed by Yanel Escobar and then Jose Lobaton.
Big opportunity for Sean to get back to what he was a couple of years ago. That guy who could play in 7 positions, handle the bat a lot better. I talked to him this winter and also prior to spring training, talking about what he's trying to do and fix at the plate, which was the big hole gaping as far as not going to right field with his swing, and also striking out left. So there's a good look at him walking.
And he draws the base on balls to open the Rays half of the inning. Right now, Todd Callis is standing by with Andrew Friedman. Todd?
Thank you, Dwayne. Andrew, just yesterday, Sports Illustrated comes out and says the Rays should be the American League champion this year. That's quite a compliment to you and your staff and to Joe Maddon, but were you surprised by that?
You know, it's one of those things that it's always great to get, positive acclaim from other places. For us, we have high expectations. Our goal is to play the last game of the season, and so when others are saying it, it's only a good thing. We don't run away from it. We don't shy away from it, and we're flattered by it.
A few more games left in the spring training. It's really been pretty much an uneventful spring in terms of you've been pretty healthy. If you had to guess where the 25-man roster would be at the beginning of spring, it's probably pretty close to where it is now. Has this been as good a spring as you could have hoped for? And where is Luke Scott right now? I guess he's the only injury that you're dealing with going into the opening day.
Yeah, blasé spring is good. Yeah. It's one of those things, especially after last year, that getting a more blasé spring is only a good thing. Luke it's really day-to-day. We know it's not bad, but as he gets into the progression, we want to make sure it doesn't get worse. So I don't have a great feel. We don't have a great feel. He hit in the cage. He hit on the field today. Didn't have any issues. And so we'll just keep easing him into it, and hopefully he'll be ready opening day. I'm optimistic that he will, but it's one of those things that we talk about all the time with muscles that we can't x-ray. It's not like there's a clear-cut timetable, and we'll continue to go day by day, but I expect him ready opening day.
Guys that have been recently optioned, it's pretty apparent who the 25-man roster is going to be. The last decision, I guess, would be the 5th starter. What happens? What kind of role do you envision for the guy who's not the 5th starter?
Well, it's something for us that, as soon as really when we were contemplating the Shields trade, we had a really deep bullpen last year that I don't want to say was underutilized, but we didn't need it as much as you might in some years. And when we were contemplating the Shields deal, when we made the Shields trade, we were hypersensitive to our bullpen to the composition, and it's something that right now with Ramos, Wright, and either Neiman or Hernandez, it's 3 guys that can give you some length, and also are good major league pitchers that it doesn't have to be, a blowout in the second inning. It's starter runs out of gas in the 5th or 6th inning, bridge it for 4 to 7 outs, and turn it over to the back 4 guys is something that we were very, very aware of. And so I think they're going to fit into that role with kind of Wright and Ramos and give us some length and also some matchup.
And that was a roll, as it's a 3-2 count now to Yunel Escobar, a runner on the move, and this ball's fouled away. That was the role initially that Wade Davis was going to fill, and then he moved back later in the game. You would imagine whoever it is, Hernandez or Neiman, will probably stay in that longer role, or possibly could evolve into the Wade Davis role that he was in.
Yeah, it's one of those things that gets so much into the health and effectiveness of our other guys. I think whichever guy it is going to pitch well. And so I think they're going to help us, and whether there's opportunity to move.
Ball's hit into the gap all the way to the wall. Sean Rodriguez will score easily. Escobar is going to head to third, and the relay throw is going to be late. An RBI triple for Escobar, and the Rays take a 1-0 lead here in the second inning.
Yeah, and so it'll really get to so many other variables as well, like the pitchers that we have and the health, the effectiveness. But I definitely think they'll be capable of moving back deep into a bullpen.
Take a discussion. Let's take our discussion to the offensive side. And today we see a lefty in Jay Happ. The Rays haven't seen a lot of lefties this spring, but that's the one area I think going into the season that's still interesting. Who's going to be that lineup against lefties? Obviously, when we see today, Desmond Jennings is going to be in left, and you've got Yunel Escobar and Evan Longoria on the left side of the infield. Desmond in center. You've got Escobar and Longoria on the left side of the infield, and obviously your catcher Molina, and then probably Zobrist and Wright. Beyond that, the other 2 righties still available to you are Rodriguez and Roberts. Do you see them playing against most lefties? And then what lefties do you also see maybe mixing in that lineup?
Yeah, when we were going through signing Luke Scott and Kelly Johnson, when we were going through it, and then as we got through it, we went into it consciously knowing that against a left-handed starter, we're going to be starting 2 of, the following 5 left-handed hitters with Fuld, Scott, Loney, Fuld, Joyce. Yep. And so we're going to play matchups. Joe's really good at putting these guys in position to have success. And so really getting into which 2 of the 5 match up best against that specific pitcher. And we have so much versatility positionally that, Kelly Johnson can play first. He can play second. He can play left field. Zoe obviously can move around. And so it can vary night to night, lefty to lefty. And it'll also be a good time to give some of our guys a rest as well. And so I think it's really going to be dependent on the night, but I think those 7 right-handers, for the most part, are going to be in there unless, of course, it's a reverse guy.
So when you did pick up those lefties that you mentioned, with the Loney acquisition, with the Johnson acquisition, you knew the 2 of them were going to start. But at the same time, we've seen a great spring out of Shelley Duncan, and you've got Will Myers that everybody loves to talk about. So if at some point the lefties aren't working against the lefties, you have some nice righties sitting down there, too.
Yeah, and it's something that, we, as you know, and we've talked about a lot, spent a lot of time and energy on the depth and really working through, making sure that we had coverage in AAA, that we had coverage on our bench to be able to cover that. But I think when we signed Kelly and Luke, the big thing was 70+% of the time you're going to face a right-handed pitcher. We wanted to make sure that we felt covered there and that we had the requisite amount of power and the right balance against right-handed pitching. And then against left, I think we're going to be good in that we'll have 7 guys who are going to, be good against left-handed pitching. And then the 2 lefties, which Kelly Johnson, historically has played really well, fared very well against left-handed pitching. Luke has every year with the exception of last year. Fuld, Joyce, and select lefties that Joe's put him on has fared really well, and his power has shown up. And so we got a bunch of different ways we can go, and we feel like it's not going to be a weakness of ours. It may not be a strength, but not a weakness.
Andrew, final question. I know it's been a long spring, but the one guy you haven't seen recently is Fernando Rodney with the World Baseball Classic. Then some time off. You looking forward to seeing him back in a Rays uniform today?
I am. I actually saw a lot of them, maybe too much of them during the WBC. But, yeah, it's good to get him back. He was on a little bit of a sabbatical. since he's gotten back, and so now we're getting him back into the flow of things. It's going to be good to see him pitch.
Yeah, and obviously he's got enough innings to be ready for opening day right now.
No question.
All right, Andrew, thank you for the time. All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. And an interesting breakdown of what we've seen in spring training. And with only 6 days before the regular season begins, we start to get an idea of what that matchup situation and the lineups might look like. Jose Molina here facing Jay Knapp. Happ got Lobaton on the breaking ball and got ahead of Molina on a breaking ball. 1-2. Now it's 2-2. And the count is full. And here's a guy, Jose Molina, speaking of the WBC and all the action that Rodney saw. Molina got just limited at bats, and so the Braves are really interested in getting him as many at bats as they can.
Yeah, and he needed to yell at the guy that was playing in front of him, only because it's his brother.
Ground ball to Bonifacio for the second out. Escobar has to remain at third, and so he's there now with 2 outs after the RBI triple.
Yeah, good opportunity there to drive in a run with less than 2 outs, which is such a big deal for any team, but especially for the Rays. That little small ball comes into play, and Jay Happ, who is actually one of those reverse pitchers. He's tougher on right-handed hitters than he is on lefties because of that screwball changeup. Has gotten the last 2 righties with a punch out and a ground ball to second.
And a first pitch strike to Ryan Roberts. Happ in the mid-20s in pitch count here in this inning. He ran a couple full count at bats to Rodriguez and Escobar. 2 strikes. There was the breakout righty-lefty for Happ last year. He divided last year between Houston and Toronto. Made 18 starts in Houston and 6 for the Blue Jays, 4 relief appearances for the Blue Jays.
And he came up with the Phillies, and I'm sure learned a lot from his kind of teammate, older brother, and Cole Hamels. They're very similar pitchers, except that Cole throws a bit harder, so the difference in that fastball changeup works better for Cole Hamels than J.A. Happ.
Stewart's at third base makes this play. The Rays will score a run and leave one. Rodriguez walked, and then Escobar tripled a liner into right center, chasing home Rodriguez, and the Rays lead 1-0. Rays lead 1-0. Escobar driving in the run, and Joe Maddon has called him a linchpin to this Rays lineup.
I think he really is. I mean, the spine of this team, center field and shortstop, very key. And one of the key things for Escobar that you got to take a look at is the quickness of his hands. When he's right, he's not doing that big Latino Caribbean thing that we tend to swing a lot with our bodies. He's swinging hand speed only, and then he hits those bullets to right center, left center, sometimes home runs. When he gets a little bit too aggressive and swings with his body, it slows down your swing. You have a tendency to miss more. That was the quick one. That was beautiful.
Ron Langerhans leading off at 270 spring with a couple home runs. Nickius and Mooney to follow against Neiman. And he just about had him out in front there, but he checked in time on the appeal to Toby Basner.
You'll have 3 umpires today.
Yep. Travis Carlson calling the balls and strikes. Tim Timmons right side and Basner left side. A nice big hop for Roberts. Langerhans out of there. One gone.
So far, I mean, you were talking about Roberto looking really good those first 3 or 4 innings yesterday. I'm really liking what Jeff Neiman's doing. Again, the velocity maybe not, at mid-season form or, April, May form, but the movement, the downhill, the pitch selection as far as mixing it up with the curveball, fastball, sinker, he's keeping these hitters off pace so far.
1 ball, no strikes. He's retired the first 7 to face him. Well, those are great problems to have if you have quality arms competing for spots on your pitching staff. The kind of problems that pitching coaches and managers will take every year in spring training. And there are a couple pretty good arms down below at the AAA level as well.
Oh, my.
I thought it was interesting when Sam Fuld was talking with Todd Callis about facing Chris Archer 6 times in one of those minor league games. Boy, what a day to face that arm 6 times.
A loose 98 miles an hour. There's Jim Hickey, who guards all those guys very well.
He'll be coming up, but Todd Callis will be talking with him in the bottom of the 3rd. So we can get into the competition left here in the pitching department, that number 5 spot in the rotation. The other interesting point in this rotation is Matt Moore, who has continued to struggle with his command, and Joe Maddon, who can be very patient, is preaching that. He still has a lot of confidence in Matt Moore and expects him to have a very good year. But it has been a little bit of a challenge for him in the command department with the fastball here this spring. There's the young left-hander, and boy, the upside. Anybody would take him and put him in their rotation and be happy to have him, as the Rays are.
Oh, yeah, there'd be a lot of general managers going, you're not happy with him right now? Because I'll give you a double-A guy for him, and let's go at it.
And that puts it all into perspective there. You have a spring that's not everything you want. You think, well, so what? Look at this arm and what he's done and the progress he's made. And if you put him, if you try to track Moore and then compare that to the David Price track that he was on, it makes you feel a little bit better.
He's way ahead of track as far as first full season in the big leagues. In every stat that you look up for David Price first full season in 2009 compared to Moore's last year.
This is handled by Longoria. The throw on the money. A couple ground balls, 2 up, 2 down here in the 3rd.
Let's take a look at Jeff Neiman so far. Again, talking about pitch movement. It's all about location, velocity change, and not so much about having to throw over 95. There's a sinker. Here's the little change-up flitter. Again, he's getting the guys off balance. You don't have to be throwing 95. He also gives you a lot of legs and arms at 6'9", 6'10", so you don't feel comfortable, and you don't. It's hard to kind of center him, Dwayne, because of that ball coming at that angle. I never really enjoyed hitting against that tall a pitcher because you want to get a flatter plane from the ball coming at you as a hitter.
Now this is an interesting matchup. the tall Jeff Neiman against the diminutive Peter Mooney here. For a guy Neiman's size, it could be tough to find the strike zone.
He's shorter than Sam Fuld. Oh, what are we doing here? We talking Muggsy Bogues here? Where are we at here with this kid? Let me look at this kid here.
A challenge to find the strike zone, and with his size, if he's selected, you'd figure there should be a pretty good on-base percentage there. Just missed. It's 1-2.
Little sinking fastball on the outside part. No, it's a curveball actually. Wow, that was a good pitch on the black. There you go.
Base hit, shot the other way.
Little David against Goliath. Nice job. And now, maybe Mr. Molina will get tested a little bit here by Mr. Mooney, and I'm sure the speed is there.
Bonifacio. And it appears he has won the competition for the second base job. Out in front of that one, strike one.
Yeah, there's a kind of a interesting irony or coincidence going on here with the flip-flopping of Florida and Toronto. We got their second base shortstop tandem. They got the Marlins second base shortstop tandem with Reyes and Bonifacio, and obviously us with Yunel Escobar and Kelly Johnson. So some swapping going on there.
Bonifacio can play second base and play center field and play all over the place, actually. And because of the knee injury and the thumb injury last year, missed a good part of the season.
He was on a tear, though, Dwayne, before he got hurt. On a tear. A lot of speed, very electric, very similar to Jose Reyes, his counterpart over there at short. A lot of triples.
Two outs, Mooney at first. He's off, and the pitch is wide. The breaking ball that stayed wide, and so Mooney gets a stolen base without a throw.
Curveball that stayed out. Jose Molina had a little trouble getting it out of the glove. One thing that we did see, especially the second half of last year, Dwayne, is the quick release by Molina on his throws.
Roberts out of the glove to Rodriguez. The hit, the man left. Rays lead 1-0. Jim Hickey will be with us.
It is 1-0 Rays as we head to the bottom half of the third inning. Joining us now is Rays pitching coach Jim Hickey. And Jim, obviously the one decision left for this team is who's going to be the number 5 starter. What have you seen so far out of Jeff Neiman that you like?
I see that he's pitching. He's been pitching ever since camp opened. We're not seeing, the high velocity that, he's shown in the past, but he's already been up to 89 miles an hour here, which is enough, especially as he mixes it in with the split finger, the curveball, and the slider like he's doing right now.
Is 89 a step up from where he was the last start or two?
Well, I think it's probably about the same as far as the maximum velocity, but I think on a whole here he's got a little bit more velocity at 87 and 88 miles an hour than he has in the past.
When you talk about his competition, Roberto Hernandez yesterday in Clearwater for 4 innings, 35 pitches and 1 hit, and then obviously things didn't go his way in the 5th or 6th. What did you see there?
Well, the 5th inning, there was nothing really different except for the fact that some balls found holes and he got a ball up into a gale force wind that went out in the right field. I think in the 6th inning, he tried to maybe start to miss some bats because of the 4-run 5th inning, and he also tried to overthrow maybe a little bit, which takes away from a little bit of his sink and therefore his effectiveness. But I'll take 5 innings like the first 5, even though, there was some runs on the board in the 5th inning, but the 6th inning, he did get a little bit out of sorts.
When you talk about this Rays team, Jeff Neiman's been in a lot of these battles. You've had some battles for the 5th starter spot in the past. Is that a healthy thing, do you think, for guys to have to earn their way on that last spot in the rotation?
Well, I think you'd get a different answer from me and from the guys. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think anybody enjoys the uncertainty this late in camp, especially as a player. But the thing is, no one's going away. Someone's going to go to the bullpen, someone's going to go to the rotation. It's not like someone's going to be out of work or looking for a job, a couple of days from now. So that's the comforting thing. And you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is what's going to make our team better, what's going to give the Rays the best chance to win ball games, especially early in the season, and then things can change from there as well.
Do you imagine that decision will be made in the next day or so?
I'm thinking probably in the next couple of days. I know we have a quirky schedule. We're away, and we've got a night game in there, so it may be tough to get the appropriate people together in the same room, but I would imagine in the next couple of days.
And then at that point, obviously, the other guy goes into the bullpen, and the bullpen is anchored by a guy you haven't seen pitch in a Rays uniform in a little while. Glad to have Fernando Rodney back and out there today.
I'm glad to have him back. I'm glad that the WBC is over with. Of course, he pitched really, really well, which will probably help him out a little bit overall. We gave him a little bit of a break. I think he sat around here for 6 or 7 days or so. He didn't sit around, but he just didn't appear in a ball game. He threw 1 bullpen. He'll get 2 more appearances, which gives him 13 on the spring. Ideally, you'd like to have 11, but I don't think that's really going to have much of an effect.
For the most part, did you like the guys that were trying to earn a spot on the roster the way they threw the ball this year? It didn't seem like they made the decision very easy for you.
Well, I think I like the way that virtually everybody that was in the mix, really in the mix, threw the ball. Nothing stood out, one way or the other. Really, there was some really good performances. Brandon Gomes pitched very, very well, but nobody pitched poorly. Everybody was doing what we were looking for them to do. And if we took a list of 15 guys right now, I couldn't tell you if their ERA was 0 or 9 or 1 or 4. I really pay no attention to that whatsoever. It's just the way that they're going about their business and the way they're throwing the ball. And I've been real happy with that throughout camp.
Close play at first. Sam Fuld testing that hamstring out, tried to beat out a bunt, but he was thrown out. Probably get a look at a replay here. Let's see. You want to see a replay, Hick? Let's take a look at a replay. Here we go.
Tough to tell. I don't know. I like it better live anyway.
Final question for you, and then we'll let you get back to your role here. I know your time is precious. Matt Moore. Matt Moore. He's always talked about being a slow starter. You would love to change that, obviously, but what are you looking for in his last start to get ready for his first regular season start?
It just strikes with the fastball, throwing the fastball where he'd like to throw the fastball and repeating his delivery. And really, once he starts to once he repeats the delivery, once the fastball, arrives where he would like it to arrive, everything else works off of that. And he has been a notoriously slow starter, which, you hate to say throughout his career. I know he's done it in the minor leagues. He's only had 1 chance to do it in the major leagues. So we're hoping to break that trend early as we can here.
As always, thanks, Jim.
All right.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. Always good to hear from Jim Hickey and his handling of that pitching staff. He's done such a great job throughout his career, and he's been a big part of the Rays' success story here. Evan Longoria with a chance to drive in a run. Jennings singled his way on, and moved to second on the Sam Fuld bunt, and it was a very close play at first. One that got George Hendrick chatting with Tim Timmons over there on the call.
George trying to get into the, season of swinging into the season. Not too much arguing, but a little bit. It was a bang-bang play. I think Tim actually made the right call over there at first base. Good to see Sam Fuld bunting, doing that small ball that he's known for, and most importantly, Dwayne, running really well. He actually ran even better than the first time when he hit the ground ball to first. So that's really key for us, especially if we see him a lot in that number 2 hole. With Jennings hopefully getting on base a lot with walks and hits, we need that guy that handles the bat, hits behind the runner, can bunt. All of a sudden, here you go. You'll either have Evan or Zobrist trying to drive in a run.
Well, one thing about that lineup with Joe Maddon is going to be interesting. And one of the lineups against right-handers had Matt Joyce hitting in the second spot. And you're going to understand that. But there's also an argument to move him down into the middle part of the lineup and beyond.
There's a big argument on my side of that, I'll be honest with you. It kind of takes the bat out of him. Matt's great swing right there by Evan Longoria as he fouled it straight back. He's had a great swing, by the way. The Matt Joyce, I see it, I can see with Joyce maybe trying to even calm him down as a hitter because he can get a little bit out there a little too much with his body and spin, a lot. And this way you're kind of getting him to break his swing down a little bit. But I really like him around that 6th, 7th hole to drive some runs in.
And ball 4 skips away. So Longoria reaches, and the Rays will have Jennings now at third base, moving up as the ball skipped away. The other side of that argument, you've got arguably your best hitter in Evan Longoria. And a manager loves to have their best hitter hitting third to get him up there as often as possible. Many plate appearances. That's
a great point. We probably are going to see, depending who ends up in the 5 hole, and it obviously should be Luke Scott, a healthy Luke Scott, and he's nicked up a little bit right now with the tight calf.
This has been Zobrist.
But I will say this, and I'm not trying to compare Evan Longoria to Barry Bonds in his heyday of the late 90s, early 2000s, but you can compare a little bit, with the superstar level that is Longoria, who hits righties, lefties, under, knuckleballers, sidearmers. He's just an exceptional hitter. And if you think about it, you can then compare Jeff Kent back in the day in the early 2000s, the Dusty Baker's team when they went to the World Series 2002. He chose to put Jeff Kent and use his uber superstar to protect Kent. And what did that do? That rose Kent to get more fastballs, and he ended up hitting 30, 35 home runs for a couple of years, as opposed to have Kent protect Barry. He chose to have a guy in Benito Santiago hit 5th, or whoever he really put out there. And he said, you know what, Barry, I trust that you're that good of a hitter that you'll walk a lot, you'll be patient when they're pitching around you, and I need Kent to have a big year, and you're going to protect him. He'll get a lot of fastballs.
2-1 now to Zobrist. That's going to take the count to 2-2. So there's a case of a great hitter taking care of himself and making another hitter in your lineup better.
And that's what could be the case if you're seeing Longo hit 4th behind Zoe, because Zoe is an incredible fastball hitter, both from the left and the right side. Not as talented against breaking pitches as Longo is. So in my book, I like that Evan hitting behind and protecting Zoe. If both are healthy for 140, 150 games, you're going to see big years from both of them.
And Zobrist called out on strikes for the second out.
Mr. Backwards, Jay Happ gets, again, the righties. It gets him looking away, with the little curveball, with a little flip-flop screwball change. And then every now and then he'll throw you on the black. Again, not hard, but spot on. And he freezes you looking away.
Yeah, Happ's 90, maybe 90 plus. He came to the Blue Jays last year, and they clocked him at a little bit more than he had been showing in the velocity department with Houston. But still, he is 90, maybe 91 at times. And he's in front of Sean Rodriguez, 1 strike. 0-2. Rays got a run in the second inning. Escobar's triple driving in Rodriguez. Sean opened that inning with a walk, and now Rodriguez up first and third, 2 gone in the third. Escobar would be next if the Rays could keep the inning going.
Can't say enough about Jennings over at third base and what impact he will mean. Again, missed about 30 games last year with a shoulder injury, so we had so many key guys that were out for extended periods. But if this guy calms his swing down, walks more, he could be as much an MVP as Evan is.
And Rodriguez out on strikes to retire the Rays. They leave a couple. We're headed into the fourth inning. Rays lead 1-0, and we'll be hearing from Fernando Rodney when we return. Rodney back from the WBC.
Rays as we head to the fourth inning. We got a chance to catch up with Fernando Rodney, Rays closer, who was a star in the WBC for the Dominican Republic. Easily could have been the MVP. Went to Robinson Cano. Fernando, what was that whole stretch, that whole 2-3 weeks like for you?
It's something very special. We get there, represent your country, where you come from, and represent the family. Everybody follow WBC and play with a guy you don't know if you're gonna play sometime in baseball. That's what I have more fun there.
You guys looked like you had a lot of fun. A lot of guys were following the arrow, maybe more so than even the Rays did last year, as Rajai Davis hits one to left, and Sam Fuld makes the catch for the first out. And then you had a lucky plantain. Has anybody offered you any plantain since you've been back here in Port Charlotte?
They asked me where they asked. I say I leave it home because he do his job now. So
the plantain did its job?
Yeah. They lucky plantain.
So it's put away.
We keep it for whole season over there for the tournament. And we got luck. We win the tournament. We win in the field. We no loss. We keep it.
But now the arrow will be back, right? The arrow will be back with the Rays.
Yeah, the arrow will be back. He's here now. He's ready for Tuesday. 3 o'clock is going to start in.
What's your, because you pitched so much in the WBC, are you pretty much ready to go right now? I mean, is this more work than you're normally used to for spring?
I don't know. I think it's normal work. Yeah. Maybe I do every 1 day off. But I feel the same. I feel ready to go. Be working for that off season last year. That's why I feel great. I'm good, body in good shape. nothing. I'm going to continue that, and we see what happens this season.
Well, last year was so much fun watching you. I know a lot of fans can't wait to get back in the Rodney Archery Club there for the regular season. If you don't pitch the ninth today, if you pitch an earlier inning, do you still go with the arrow?
Oh, one more on today, I think. So no matter what inning.
No matter what inning?
No matter what inning, I'm going to throw one.
Throw one at this guy?
Just to let it know the fan. I'm going to use it soon.
Always good talking to you, Fernando. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
All right, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. And, boy, that record-breaking season last year for Fernando Rodney. You know, people talk about, was he going to be as good this year as he was last year? Well, good luck with that. I mean, he could have a great year this year and still not have the same kind of record-breaking numbers that he had a year ago.
I think, you know, in sports nowadays, we kind of get spoiled. There's so much coverage that some things don't really get as much attention because there's so many things going on and all these different. This was an incredible, just incredible historical year when you break it down. The ERA, the record-setting, you know, more than 50 innings to be at .60. What he did was just unfathomable and kind of came out of the blue. And we're not talking the guy that had, you know, 35, 40 saves the year before. He was struggling with his control for the last couple of years for Mike Scioscia and the Angels.
Three 3-0 the count to Adam Lind. Stewart's double to right over the head of Ben Zobrist.
I guess Tampa Bay is one of those places where you do want to drink the water. You know,
Yep.
it's good. Go ahead and drink Jim Hickey's water because relievers are coming there and sometimes actually leaving as superstars. Soriano, Benoit, you know, he's taken some, you know, retreads basically and turned them into Peralta you can throw into that mix.
Well, when they signed Fernando Rodney, there were a lot of people around the game just scratching their head or yawning. Well, he had a great arm, and he took with essentially 2 pitches and with unbelievable command, turned it into a record-breaking season as a closer.
And I think the latter part is the yawning part, and I can even throw myself in that group. The scratching of the head, not so much, because you have, there's a history with Joe Maddon being the bench coach, and he was over there when, you know, and the ties to the Angels. Nice.
And Lind is caught looking. Neiman came back from a 3-0 count to get a big out here. The strikeout looking on Lind.
Little late break on this pitch, almost a tad of a cutter to it, and just painted the black on a tough lefty Lind.
It's Colby Rasmus. Rasmus missed that one. He was called out on strikes his first time.
Colby had the funky hair last year, and then he's even, I think him and Lincecum got together, and Lincecum gave him his hair because Lincecum, you know, cut his hair, and now he's added to Colby's 70s, you know, rocker look going on there. Leif Erikson.
Pop to the left side. Longoria takes care of that. And the Blue Jays are finished in the 4th. Home half of the inning coming. Rays up 1-0. 1-0 Rays lead. They scored a run in the second. We're headed into the bottom of the fourth. Today's game brought to you in high definition by H.H. Gregg. Rays wrapping up the Port Charlotte portion of spring training. It's the final game of the spring here. Rays began the spring 11-4, and since then have turned it around and dropped 11 of their last 15, so they're at the 500 mark here, 15-15. And a quick look at our season preview. The New York Yankees with last year winning it, 95 wins, but they do have some big question marks this year right now, and primarily it's age and injury.
Wow, how quickly a team could change. You go from all those former all-stars, really, guys that help you. Banez was huge for them. Martin was huge. Swisher was huge. Soriano. And now you got to go and count on the Uke, Hafner, and Wells to carry the team. Who'd have thunk it, as Bobby Bowden would say, Dwayne, at this point in the season, that these are the guys you got to count on for probably April and May.
Yeah, there are. Jeter's resigned to the fact that he's going to start the year on the DL. And there's a lot of production there not available because of injury.
Don't get me wrong. These guys, three that we mentioned, former at points superstars. I mean, Vernon Wells for me was one of, an incredible five-tool player, but hasn't been for the last couple of seasons for sure. Travis Hafner, ever since the shoulder injury of 3 or 4 years ago, hasn't been the same guy. And, so you're looking at a Yankee team that is depleted in power production for sure.
Ball is through the middle and into center. Escobar has his second hit. Aggressively makes the turn at first. Escobar with a base hit. Boy, you like to see the way, and that's something that Joe Maddon really appreciates, as aggressive base runner.
Yeah, fantastic. He's playing hard already for Joe. I think the Joe's mantra's already kind of gotten to him, and he's saying, you know what, I know what the deal is here, and I'm just going to go for it. Again, good example of not trying to use too much of his body, especially against a change-up lefty. You want to stay quiet, pop the hands, and he hits another line drive. And he is out of this game now, but a good job for Yunel Escobar.
And Lobaton up here, shortens on the bat, taking the pitch for a strike. So Matt Joyce is running over there at first base. So leadoff base hit. Yeah, if you look at the those major injuries to the Yankees, in 4 injuries in single season salary, they have more money in those injured guys than the Rays have of their entire payroll.
Wow. Yeah, a couple of
I think they're over. I think they're like over 80 million with the 4 guys who aren't available because of injury right now. I mean, that's so you're talking significant production, and that payroll reflects what they're missing. Out to second, Bonifacio to Mooney, and the first, Lobaton grounds into the 4-6-3 double play.
That was no doubt tailor-made. Lefty Hap gets that outside corner. Lobaton grounds easily to the double play. Getting back to the Yankees and their scenario. Now, I will say, they won 95 games last year. They're missing all of these power. It's one of these teams that you can't count them out, though. There's something about them. Joe Girardi's a very talented manager. So they've got a couple of nasty starters that can't get hurt now. Definitely in Kuroki and Cece Sabathia need to be the cornerstones for that team.
Well, Sabathia turns out to be the kid in many ways.
That's scary.
In that rotation. But here's one thing about it, and you're right, they're not conceding anything. And Joe Maddon is fully aware of that, and he fully expects them to be what they've been in the past. And the great thing about Joe, however, when you ask him about other teams in the division, ultimately it gets back around to emphasizing that his team pay attention to how they play and what they do. And if his feeling is, and it really makes a lot of sense, if you take care of your own business and you execute, you do the things that you're supposed to do, you catch the ball the way you're supposed to catch it, you're going to be all right. Molina draws walk.
But a big key to that, along with that thought process, which you have to have, is also the almost swagger that, which I know has already been coming on since 08, and it's here now. It's here, and it's sunken in. That you belong. I mean, there is no doubt that you belong, and you should expect to be in the playoffs, and you should expect to go deep in the playoffs, and you should expect that your final thing is a World Series.
Well, Maddon has already admitted that his mistake before now was saying we want to play in the last game of the year, and he's redefined that to say this club has to win the last game played of the year.
Right.
One ball, one strike, and so he's redefined what the goal is, and you play with that in mind. Ball, 2 strikes. Ryan Roberts, the ground ball to third his first time. Rays got a run in the second inning on the triple by Escobar. Two. Jay Happ on the hill for the Blue Jays. Jeff Neiman competing for the 5th spot in the rotation, doing the pitching for the Rays this afternoon. There goes Molina on the 2-2 pitch, and the ball hits the bag fair. Molina digs for third. Let's see, Foley's going to wave him. He's going to put up the stop sign. Tom Foley surveying that situation closely. He had the green light, and then just at the last moment threw up that big stop sign out there. Molina now at third on the double by Roberts.
Jose Molina, who last year we saw him steal a couple of bags, especially when they disrespected him and not held him on. So he's going what they call FM, first move. As soon as the pitcher, Jay Happ, lifts his leg, first movement, he's going. The ball hits off the bag, fair ball. Raja gets it in. Great job by Tom Foley. There he goes, first move. He's running, gets the turn. And also preparing for a big, long season is Tom Foley. So there's Tommy holding him up. Smart move for a couple of reasons. Number one, he would have been out. Number two, we talked about in the pregame, this is not the time to get one of your key players hurt in a bang-bang play at home.
Well, the Rays have put up a scoring threat with 2 outs, and Jennings up here, who has been selective all spring at the plate. It's 1-1 now.
We talked about some of the guys that got sent down. Brandon Gomes, Jim Hickey, pitching coach, actually alluded to what an incredible spring he has. So, he'll be one of those guys close to the phone, so to speak, down in Durham if necessary. Another guy is Shelley Duncan, who had a real strong spring, 5 home runs. Power right-handed bat. We talked about all our left-handed power. Here's a guy that came up a little short, but again, when the need arises, that's one of the things that the Rays organization is looking for, a little more depth, whether it's on the actual 25-man roster or down in Durham, that can be quickly brought up.
And that's strike 3 call. The Rays are going to leave 2 on. We've gone through 4. The Rays lead 1-0. We'll hear it from Derek Shelton. He'll visit with Todd Callis when we return.
Charlotte Sports Park as the Rays will head up to Tropicana Field and make that their base, basically, getting ready for opening day after today. Derek Shelton joins us, hitting coach here for the Tampa Bay Rays. And Derek, some new faces on this Tampa Bay team that are going to be a big factor this year. Yunel Escobar, Kelly Johnson, James Loney, all of them between 750 and 1,000 games in the major leagues. What's the challenge for you? Guys that have established kind of their method of going about hitting and then trying to get comfortable with them this spring training?
The challenge for me is for just making sure I adapt to them. You know, I mean, we're not going to we're not going to change anything drastically. We're working on some things, but just the communication with me getting to know them, me knowing what they want to do and how they want to do their work.
Let's start with these guys individually. Yunel Escobar, nice day today. What have you seen from him this spring?
Good day today for him. I mean, he was really hot early in the spring. He went through a little bit of a lull, which I think, this spring because of how long it's been like that, but really like where he's at. I mean, this guy works probably as hard as anybody I've been around. He's fun to be around. I think he's going to add a different dynamic to our club.
We saw that triple hit well to right center field. Does he use the whole field pretty well?
Yeah, he does. And when he uses the right center field portion or the center field portion is when he's at his best. When he's on the pull side, he's usually on the ground, and we're trying to keep him away from that. And I think we're seeing it today. Ground ball base hit up the middle, triple into the gap. So it's good stuff.
Let's go around the infield. Then you arrive at second base. His double play partner for a lot of years in Toronto and also prior to that. But Kelly Johnson, what have you seen out of Kelly?
Kelly's been good. We've actually been working on some things. Very encouraged by the last 10 days. I know people may look at what the number is for spring training, but not concerned about that. Once the season starts, nobody cares what you hit in spring training, whether it was 500 or whether it was lower. But the last 4 or 5 days have been really encouraging. I think he's starting to see the ball better. Some of the stuff we've been working on is really starting to translate into games. So I think he's on the right trend.
Right next to him is another new face in James Loney.
Yeah, Loney really excites me because of the fact it's a lot of contact, and contact for us is good. Putting the ball in play, making things happen. Especially although we struggled with it a little bit today with runners in scoring position, but runners in scoring position stuff. He's had some opportunities like that in the spring, and he's made contacts, so that excites me.
I think of the guys that are going north, if you will, up to Tropicana Field. There's only been about 13 home runs this year. You mentioned contact. Is this going to be a team that makes more contact? Maybe doesn't drive the ball over the wall as much, more of a gap-to-gap kind of team?
Yeah, I think it is. There's guys that are going to hit the ball in the ballpark. Evan's going to hit the ball in the ballpark. So, but other than that, we're working in the gaps. We lost BJ, who hit 28, and so it's really not a goal. And especially playing in our ballpark, as the last couple of years. There's been some balls that have been hit well that have gone nowhere. So as long as we can make contact, stay in the gaps, the home runs will come. Home runs are thrown by pitchers; they're not hit by hitters. So it's just as long as we take good swings, we should be in a pretty good spot.
Evans had a good spring as he makes the play here for the first out in the 5th inning. The other guy who's been really impressive from the start, Did you notice a different approach out of your leadoff hitter, Desmond Jennings, from day one this spring?
Yeah, I think he's a different guy. I think he's closer to the guy we saw in 11 when he came up mid-season. I think, anytime you start the year in the big leagues, regardless if you played 2/3 of the year before, it's always an adjustment. And playing in the American League East, people adjusted to him. And the transition period has come off. He worked hard this winter. I think, with his body, with his swing, with everything he's done, he's in a different spot. And I like the spot. Probably of all the guys that we have in the spring, he's been the guy that I've been probably the happiest with.
And Zobrist throws out Ryan Langerhans for out number 2. Final question before we let you go. A lot of young players, a lot of young hitters you've seen throughout your career. What stood out to you when you watched Will Myers this spring, your first look at him?
The sound. It's not the look, it's the sound. I mean, he's the guy that if you're standing and your back's to the cage and he's hitting, you're going to turn around. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing. The way his hands work, he's long, he's lanky, but the sound coming off his bat's a different thing. There's still some polishing to do, and there'll probably be some polishing to do when he gets here. But, it's exciting when you have a guy like that can swing the bat.
Thanks, Derek.
All right, thanks.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you. An interesting conversation there with Derek Shelton breaking down this lineup. The Rays fully expect, even though they lost the home runs from Upton, and when you combine that with Pena, that's a significant percentage of the home run attack. But I thought Shelton made a couple of interesting points on that from two perspectives. And one, more contact with this club. The ball will be put into play more. This one back toward the corner. Fuld on the run, got it! Sliding catch back toward the left field corner to retire the side. Sam Fuld putting those hamstrings to the test today. Stamp that one with a star for Sam Fuld.
Sam Fuld with a great move right there. Welcome back, Sam Fuld. We'll be right back.
One nothing. The Rays have the only run of this game. It came in the bottom of the second inning. Miguel Escobar triple home Sean Rodriguez. Take a look at this catch by Sam Fuld.
There it is again. I mean, he's so acrobatic in the outfield, whether he's in center, right, left. He has the big glove. He knows how to slide. That's also a big thing. Not a lot of guys know how, when, the different types of slides, whether you got to go head first, whether you got to go with the with the regular conventional, almost stealing second slide. He's so dynamic and brings, when we were playing that great defense a couple of years ago and leading the league, he excites you, even from the outfield. Usually you think of defense predominantly is in the infield, but hey, good hitting is contagious, great defense is also contagious, and he added to it.
And of course he leads off the bottom half of the inning after making the great play to end the top. Takes a strike. He's a high energy player, and that can make a difference in the course of a game, and to have a guy like that on your team. Into left. Davis makes a rolling catch. Davis took a beat or two before he really made a move on that line drive, and then turned it into a catch out there, a little tumbling grab.
Well, speed will correct any little bad decisions. He wasn't sure, and then he realized, yeah, I can get to this one. It was obviously sinking and lining the liner, hooking away from him from the left-handed batter. Nice play by Rajay Davis.
Longoria takes a strike. Hamp has the jump on Evan. A couple of walks for Longoria. Hit over 380 this spring.
So quiet at the plate. Just tears up left-handed pitching. I mean, last year was well over 400 clip. And a lot of that is because he has that little open stance when after he sets up right there and he kind of puts that left foot out. Gets real good visibility from left-handed pitchers. And then it's the quickness of the hands. I mean, that's the big difference for Evan. He's him, Ryan Braun. He's a situation where, I just love the way that he uses his hands and has a lot of confidence in letting the ball get deep in the zone.
1-2, and the challenge for the Rays is to get him in there as often as possible, which could mean an occasional DH spot here and there, just to rest his legs.
Especially off of a long road trip, for sure.
Right center. Rasmus on the move to make the catch. 2 outs. So 2 up, 2 down here in the 5th inning. And with that half, a little over 90 pitches, the Rays have been Zobrist 2 up. To keep Longoria healthy and in the lineup, we know the difference it made in the offense and ultimately in the wins and losses with him in there and without him. Pitching change coming. We'll be back in a moment. Lead 1-0 here at Port Charlotte. David Price's stellar 2012 season earned him the American League Cy Young Award. Watch him defend that title throughout the season. And Saturday, April 6th, the first 20,000 fans receive a David Price Cy Young figurine presented by the Tampa Bay Times. Pitching change coming here.
That'll be the kid, right-hander. Is it Jeffers?
No, it's going to be Espiel Rogers.
Espiel Rogers, excuse me. Espiel Rogers. The young right-handed, hard throwing. See here this spring, got a little bit of trouble with a high ERA, but they have a lot of expectations for this kid with a very electric arm. A lot of movement on his fastball and breaking pitches.
Yeah, he spent time with the Rockies and with the Indians. And the first pitch he makes is to Ben Zobrist, and it's in there for a strike.
Ben led the team in all offensive categories last year, obviously with the 87 games that Evan missed. He led them in RBIs, home runs, doubles, batting average. Such a key part of this offense and defense.
He faces Rogers with the bases empty. And it's popped foul and will carry on a play. Rogers essentially is what the Blue Jays got for John Farrell when they traded John Farrell. They traded Farrell to Boston.
Aviles.
And Mike Aviles was the original exchange.
Right.
And then they sent Aviles to Cleveland. For this right-hander, Rogers.
And he pulls one out of Joel Peralta's bag right here with the quick pitch. Those sneaky Caribbean players that we are. Wow, so that's who they ended up getting. Does it again.
Yep.
One thing we never saw Joel do, a back-to-back quick pitch.
Yeah, you work out of the stretch all the time, and with the bases empty, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, here you go. See the quick pitch. You don't really need to stop and set. Nobody on base.
Ben draws the walk. So a runner at first. Let's check in with Todd again. Todd?
Thanks, Dwayne. Evan Longoria, chance to see a lefty today. You haven't seen many of those. Good to get some reps against the left-hander.
Yeah, I mean, and a guy that we're going to see, probably a pretty good amount during the year. So, my approach has been pretty good during the spring, kind of trying to stay with the same thing with the lefty. Try to drive the ball the other way. But, I'll probably see more righties during the year than lefties. So it felt pretty good to get some off of lefty today.
Final day here in this stadium. Overall, you're really pleased with the way things went. It seemed like you had the good average, good on base percentage and slugging percentage all spring long.
Yeah, I really haven't looked at the numbers, to be honest with you, but my approach, like I said, has been pretty consistent throughout, and I've been happy with that. I've had good at bats, from the beginning, and that was really just my focus.
Nice to eliminate the questions about your health. You feeling pretty good out there?
Yeah. Again, it's from that standpoint, it was a successful spring. I came in really wanting to accomplish that and kind of build on the rehab work that I did in November and December and carry that through, and it's really been very positive.
What are your thoughts on this team? Obviously coming in, a lot of new faces, no Upton, no Shields, no Keppinger from Lester, no Pena. What are your thoughts at the end of the spring compared to where you were hoping things would be going into the spring?
I think, at this point last year, I feel like we had quite a bit more question marks. This year's been kind of a, boring spring in the fact that, we've kind of knew who we were going to have with us. Especially offensively. There were a few question marks on the starting pitching, but other than that, I think we've been very, very happy with the way things have looked. And I think we're all excited to kind of pack it up here and get back to the trot.
It hasn't been quite boring off the field. How's life as a daddy 1 month plus in?
It's good. It's great, actually. She's awesome. So it kind of puts things in perspective and, really kind of has helped me, focus on. Yeah, it's just put things in perspective and made me, kind of feel complete.
Thanks, Evan.
All right, thank you.
Hi, we are through 5 innings. Nice catch in center by Rasmus to end the 5th. It's 1-0 Rays.
the sixth, the Rays have the game's only run. Fox Saturday Baseball returns with 3 great matchups as Angels outfielder Josh Hamilton returns to Texas to take on the Rangers. Or the Yankees battle the defending AL champion Tigers, or the Cardinals take on the World Series champion Giants in a rematch of the NLCS. The debut of Fox Saturday Baseball is April 6th. Jeff Neiman, through 5, has made just under 70 pitches, 67 on the day, no walks. And he faces Peter Mooney, who singled off him in the 3rd. 1 of 2 hits allowed by the tall right-hander. All no strikes.
Peter Mooney got that first hit. Line drive to left. 5'6". Peter Mooney versus the 6'9" plus Jeff Neiman.
1-1. Two balls and a strike. Gorgeous day for baseball. Clear skies, just a little on the cool side with a breeze blowing in from left field right now. And there's a nice pitch right there to square the count at 2-2. The Rays will wrap up their portion of spring training here in Port Charlotte with this one. A couple of spring road games, and then they'll play at the Trop. Chop down to first. So that is out number 1 here in the 6th, and let's again check in with Todd Callis.
Thanks, Dwayne. Talking to the guy who made a difficult out in the bottom of the 5th. You smoked that last ball.
Yeah, just put a good swing on it. Got good wood.
Like you said, that's a good spring training out?
Yeah, that's what they're telling me.
Don't carry those over to the regular season, right? Sean Rodriguez joins us. Sean, you played a decent amount of first base this spring in addition to everywhere else on the field. It seems like you played every position other than catch. How's first gone for you? It seems like you're really, really comfortable over there now at first base getting the reps.
I mean, that's the key with, new positions and playing someone new or something new, repetition, and you get to, understanding what it is you got to do on certain balls. And like, for example, on the Stewart's double to the wall. I mean, in the past, I would have forgot that I have to trail Ryan on that, and I remember today I had to do that. So it's just repetition. I mean, that's why I'm glad that if they're going to play me over there, just get me more reps over there and get better acclimated over there, and we'll see how it goes.
Is that one of the more difficult things as a corner guy when you're used to playing the middle of the infield, is when the ball goes into the corners and the outfield where you are in the relay?
Here more so than third. I mean, third, you're going to basically kind of roam around the bag, but here you're the trail guy as a relay guy, so you just got to remind yourself to go. If it doesn't get to the wall, just trail the runner. I mean, just little things like that, run on first, where you got to be in the same situation.
Part of spring training is getting that comfortable glove that's going to be your gamer for opening day or whenever you do play first base. What glove did you have out there today?
Actually, I have a Luke Scott's glove. It's probably a little smaller than the one I used last year, and felt pretty good. I actually enjoyed it because it was easier for me to kind of move it around, but the other one works fine, so I mean, either one will work okay. Just trying to kind of make sure I get one that's just as comfortable as any glove I use in the middle infield.
Thanks for joining us, Sean.
No problem.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Todd. Fascio swings and misses, and Jeff Neiman picks up a strikeout for out number 2.
Nice job by Jeff here, working a tough little pesky hitter in Emilio Bonifacio. And again, there's the fastball at around 88, 89, Dwayne. So it's not overpowering speed, but like Jim Hickey earlier with Todd Callis was talking about, the pitching coach, it's where you spot it and the differential of the velocity with that and the splitter and the curveball. There's the curveball. It's got you all, all messed up at the plate because he's had these guys off balance.
Davis has popped out, did a fly ball to left his last time.
It also makes 88, 89 look harder when you're throwing the split, and he's got that kind of slower big body motion, and then here comes, 80, 89, all of a sudden looks 93, 94.
And when he has that delivery in sync, he gets great extension. just
nicked him.
And Jeff thinks maybe that elbow was out over the strike zone.
Third baseman number 3.
Looked like Jeff was telling him a couple of things, it seemed like. I don't know. But he wasn't real happy. He is on top of the plate, isn't he? You know, but with speed being part of his game, why not? If you can crowd the plate and you've got your pad on, and you're willing to take the hit, as part of Rajai Davis's game.
Now over to first base. As we mentioned earlier in the day, Davis with over 40 steals last year. You can see there 46 stolen bases. And he's thinking about it right now. Popped up by Asturias. Short right. That's Joyce coming in. And the Blue Jays are retired in the 6th. Through 5.5. 1-0 Tampa Bay. Here in Port Charlotte with the Rays leading 1-0. The opening of the regular season just around the corner. The Rays will open at home. And for more on that, let's check in again with Kelly Nash. Kelly?
That's right, Dwayne. I love the Bobby Bowden reference earlier. Who would have thunk it so much? I'm going to use it again. Who would have thunk it? We are just 6 days away from that opener, and fans will get to see the reigning Cy Young Award winner, David Price, taking the mound April 2nd. First pitch is slated for 3:10. We'd love to see you at the Trop, but if you can't make it, you know where to find us. Right here on Sun Sports. We'll broadcast 150 games this season. And on April 2nd, join us at 2 o'clock. We'll have a 1-hour pregame show to get you ready, cover all of the recent AL East action, get you caught up on all the winter Rays action. Guys, this is not the AL East. This is not your daddy's AL East that I've seen in the past. We could be in for a treat with this Rays team this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, Sports Illustrated apparently thinks so. They're calling for the Rays to win the American League pennant. Underway here with Matt Joyce at the plate in the bottom of the 6th inning as he faces Esmiel Rogers. 1 strike the count. 1-1. You know, any way you slice it, Owen, we were talking about the Yankees and their health issues, but you look at all the clubs in the East, they all can and at times will be dangerous, and you can make a case one way or the other probably for every team to win it or not to win it, but you know it's going to be competitive. Joyce out on strikes.
Got him there with a split finger. We talked a little bit about the Yankees, but the wild card winner, a team that, you know, didn't really surprisingly do anything this winter. They didn't really make a big trade. They didn't really sign a new guy. But look at that season, 93-69. The key acquisition may have been Buck Showalter, Dwayne, in that the fact that manager and his style, a lot of one-run games, and that's the way you navigate through a game. I think you can give Buck Showalter the edge on that. And the key for me is going to be the starting pitching. I'm still not, you know, I was like surprised at that starting pitching with, I think it was won 12 games. Jason Hamill was nicked up a lot last year. This is not an impressive starting rotation. What they do
well is they hit some jacks, they'll win close games, and then they have almost as good a bullpen as we do. Sometimes it seemed like just as good a bullpen when you have Johnson and Strope there at 8 and 9.
Well, Wei Chen was the only starter in double figures in the victory department. And you're right, when you look at the one-run wins, they were 29 and 9, as we saw on the screen a moment ago. They had a major league record winning percentage, a major league record, and they had an extra inning run of 16 and 2. They did some just amazing things in Baltimore last year. So we'll see how all that works out, but the Rays will open the season against them. Lobatone out on strikes. Rogers, impressive. 2 gone.
Yeah, again, you can't say enough about proper leadership. I got the chance to be a player for a Buck Showalter team in the minors, and what an incredible, smart baseball guy that knows what he's doing and how to move the chess pieces of the game. But the bottom line is, still got to pitch and catch, and they didn't catch very well. They were not a great defensive team, but they still won those tight, close games, and I think a lot of that goes to the bullpen. Yeah,
they didn't catch the ball well for a good part of the year, and the guy who really solidified that club was when they brought Manny Machado up in about the middle of the second week of August. And boy, he really stabilized things for them. And
sure did.
As much as anybody, Machado was the guy. You know, they made a lot of moves. They made an unbelievable number of player moves last year. I think they had 30 players make their Baltimore debuts, and they used, I think, 52 players for the year. Molina grounds out. The Rays are up and down. Through 6, 1-0 Rays.
It is 1-0 as we head to the 7th inning. 6 shutout innings on 2 hits for Jeff Neiman. And Jeff, it wouldn't be a normal spring training unless you were battling, it seems, right down to the wire for a spot. How good did you feel about today's performance?
Well, I felt pretty good about it, man. It's probably the best I've done the ball all spring, and that's what spring training's for. It's a building process, you know, and it's glad to end it on a good note.
Did you feel like your velocity was as good today as it's been all spring?
Yeah, it was. It was probably the best it's been all spring. So, you know, like I said, it's a building process, and we, you know, done a pretty good job of building up and getting to this point.
I think a couple of at-bats. You got in on Rajai Davis, I think, on an 89-mile-an-hour fastball that he popped up. And then the Adam Lynn at-bat later in the game. Runner on second. You get behind him 3-0. He did have an open base, but you ended up battling him and getting a strikeout there.
Yeah, that was a pretty key at-bat for me right there, just to be in that pressure situation with one of their big boys up there. And it was good to go attack him and, you know, get the out and move on.
Obviously, at this point, the decision's out of your hands, but you put up a pretty good resume this spring. You feel pretty good about where you are right now heading into opening day?
Definitely. You know, we've come a long way from day one here, and, you know, feel great about where we are right now and looking forward to the season.
Jeff, thanks. Nice job today.
Thank you.
All right, guys, new pitcher on the mound. Let's go back up to Dwayne and Orestes.
All right, you're right on both fronts. A great effort by Neiman today, and a new pitcher is Fernando Rodney, who was very busy in the WBC there and has come to camp and gotten a little chance to get his feet on the ground and catch his breath and now get back to work, and here he is.
Yeah, he was record-setting with the WBC and the number of saves. Pitched a few days in a row there, maybe a little more to that was not liked by pitching coach Hickey or general manager Andrew Friedman, but you know, he looked fantastic. The fastball right around 95, 96. Sometimes he'll hit 98, 99, but this location, and then it's the Bugs Bunny changeup. And again, location with that too. I saw him, Dwayne, do something that he did a lot last year in one of the WBC games. He's had a little trouble with his fastball. He says, okay, I'm just going to throw 3 straight changeups. And he got the guy out with that right there.
Look at that. He gets to 2 strikes. And boy, hitters have had no shot. We saw this all last year.
And the reason, if people wonder why is it so effective, of course, it's dipping and diving. But the main reason why it's so effective, it's because of the arm speed comparable to his fastball. He's able to control his body, but yet still keep the same arm speed. So as a hitter, it looks like he's coming with the 95 gas, and it's the changeup.
Ball 1 to Colby Rasmus. So 6 very good innings from Neiman of 2 hit, scoreless baseball. He didn't walk anybody, struck out 3 and hit a man. And the count to Rasmus is 1-1.
I'll tell you what, I mean, like you said earlier, even if he has a great season, a good season, you know, and doesn't, he could maybe not even come close to what the numbers were last year. What we're looking for is a guy that's consistent out of the pen. Probably 40, 45 saves would be phenomenal, and gives you that confidence when you go into the 7th, 8th, and 9th that you have a bullpen that you can count.
Yeah, he was 48 of 50 last year in that record-breaking season. And really prior to that, Dennis Eckersley had set the standard. And Fernando Rodney at 0.60, bettering the year that Eckersley had in 1990.
You're almost at the plate. You're at you got to just sit on a pitch. He's that good. I remember facing Dwight Gooden in his heyday in the late 80s, where the curveball and the fastball were such top echelon pitches that you just had to pick one. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to just sit fastball and I'm just going to eat the curveball. And that's what you got to do with him. You're going to either say, okay, I'm just looking fastball, 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 because, or I'm going to sit on a changeup, because you can't differentiate both.
Full count to Rasmus. And right back. Wait, he hit a changeup back to Rodney and got the ball by him. And Zobrist throws out the hitter Rasmus. Well,
he's all right.
Rodney reacted to that comebacker the way a lot of hitters react to his changeup.
Well, first of all, as a pitcher, whenever a ball's coming at you, you think it's coming at 100 miles an hour. And the reality is that it was a pepper, kind of like playing pepper when you're a kid. It came back a lot slower, and he had a chance to actually make the play. Thankfully, it didn't hit his head or his hands or anywhere that could have been dangerous. But he definitely fooled Colby Rasmus with that changeup.
So 2 outs. Now the catcher, Henry Blanco.
And here's the deal. Colby Rasmus just saw this devastating changeup on a 3-2 pitch. He showed him how comfortable he is to throw it in a 3-2. later on in the season in April when we face this team, if he gets a ninth inning situation with Colby Rasmussen on a 3-2 pitch, Colby's going to step out and go, okay, man, he threw me a change up in spring. What do I go? Where do I go now?
Yep. I
got to think fastball. You know, and he's going to just mess him all up. So great job right there by Molina and Rodney Hood.
1-2. Rodney in here in the 7th inning. And he takes care of Blanco and retires the Blue Jays in order. So that's vintage Fernando Rodney. Middle of the 7th and the Rays lead 1-0. One nothing Rays lead coming into hit in the bottom of the 7th inning here this afternoon. Stay up to date with the Rays and all of your favorite Florida sports teams. Join the conversation online with our Sports Florida girls, Jordana and Anna Lee. Annie Lee and Jordana. We'll give you all the information you can compile. You can like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter and Instagram. New pitcher, Aaron Loop, the left-hander, the 3rd of the day for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Aaron Loop, the guy that gives you a little sidearm feature. Real tough on lefties. A lot of movement on his pitches. You see here in the ERA's that, I mean, this spring's done a great job. And he's a guy that's pretty much specific to be a lefty-lefty matchup, especially since he dips down. Righties tend to see him a little better than lefties do.
Ryan Roberts will face the lefty. Pitches a strike half, worked 4 2/3, made 95 pitches, and Rogers looked good in an inning in the 3rd for Toronto. Now Loop.
Again, Rogers reminded me a little bit of a younger version of our own Joel Peralta, the way he's set up, mixed in a little quick pitch, nice little splitter, got a couple strikeouts with a splitter. And speaking of Joel Peralta, yesterday's couple inning outing, 6 points. There you go.
Fair up the right field line. Roberts will dig for a cover. The throw from Langerhans not in time. A 2-base hit. Down 0-2, and he got it just fair up the right field line for the double.
Tattoo you. Hitting the ball hard. First to the left side, now to the right side. Takes that little sinker. Beautiful piece of, great piece of hitting right there. See how quiet with the body, lets the ball get to him, uses the hand, goes opposite field, and then shows something that the Rays have been famous for, which is hard base running, smart base running, and hustle.
Now, the top of the order, Desmond Jennings. Pitch is a strike. Desmond singled in the third. The Rays scored their run in the second inning. And Luke quickly ahead of Jennings, 0-2. Luke, a left-hander out of Louisiana. He went to Tulane University. And that's a no pitch. Time granted by the plate umpire Travis Carlson.
He was up last year at 30 innings in that 2.64 ERA. So this kid got a little bit of experience already with Toronto, and counted on again. I said pretty much situationally. Good sweeper right
there. The Rays with Jennings up, and then Kelly Johnson is on deck.
Whoever is like even in the dugout still for the Rays, that's a left-handed hitter, at certain times in the game might have to stay in the game for Joe Maddon. What I used to do, I'm paying attention to this guy right now because, you know, he hasn't been around a long time, and Luke, and I'm watching him because there's going to be matchups that John Gibbons and Maddon are going to get mixed in with this kid right here and a potential left-handed bat for the Rays.
And now it's a full count. Jennings out on strikes. So that's the first out. Well, as we continue to take a look at the American League East and preview them, the Red Sox, they have John Farrell now as their manager. The manager the last couple of years of the Blue Jays. And Red Sox coming off that 69 and 93 season. And they have some young talent, but it seems to be a year or two away, and they're trying to make that transition and still be competitive.
It's crazy to think that they only won 69 games. That was second worst in the American League to the Twins' 66 win season. So we're talking about the Boston Red Sox here, but the keys, no doubt, are going to be Buchholz and Lester. How well they can rebound from, you know, suspect seasons last year. Lester at times really shined, and then at times he didn't last year. We saw good Lester and we saw really bad Lester, us personally. The Rays did. Same thing with Buchholz. But those two guys, they go like those two guys go. Speaking of going.
Runner heads to third, and he is out. Roberts trying to time up Luke, and is caught trying to steal third.
Trying to be aggressive here in spring training, trying some things out. The one thing right here that I will tell you that was the problem in this deal, he didn't really get as good a secondary lead. I think he could have been a little farther off second. They weren't really crowding him, the second base or shortstop, and he could have gotten 2 or 3 more steps that might have made a difference.
It's 2-1. Johnson up in the count, 3-1. Well, the other thing about the Red Sox, they're still hoping Ortiz can be healthy.
Sure. They've added old friend Johnny Gomes. I think it's a big addition. Mike Napoli also needs to produce for them. And Stephen Drew is a nice little middle infielder type.
And he's had the concussion issue.
He's had the concussion issue, right. So
there's Victorino in right field.
So a lot of new faces, but including John Farrell, who's coming back to the fold as now manager.
There's James Loney getting his first plate appearance of the day, facing the lefty.
I'm still waiting for that. The Uke deal. Well, Uke's already been back since he was in the White Sox, but he hasn't been back as a Yankee in Fenway. And even he hasn't been a Yankee in Yankee Stadium after what he said earlier this spring.
That ball will roll, and it's going to stay foul. Loney decided he better run up the first base line.
Better start jogging over there just in case. You know, it's interesting when you think about spring training for the crew chief, field crew chief, Dan Mulder. You know, he's got to be over here. He's always got the dome and doesn't worry about conditions over there and stuff like that. Over here in spring training, there's a lot more that he has to prepare here for a game.
And strike 3 call. Loney complains that it was high. Rays leave a man. We head into the 8th. It's 1-0 Tampa Bay. One nothing Rays lead. This game moves into the 8th inning. Great hat shot right there. You can be a part of the craziest new fan section in Tampa Bay. District K9. Your specially priced ticket includes a lower level seat, District K9 t-shirt, a K card, and maybe even a chance to meet Astro. To purchase tickets, visit RaysBaseball.com/District K9.
David Price's Astro?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
That's a treat.
Kirby Yates, the new pitcher for the Rays, the 3rd of the day. Spent last year at Montgomery at the AA level.
Real nice arm. I've seen this kid pitch before and like what he brings to the table. Usually right around the plate with a fastball, curveball, good moving slider.
Fernando Rodney was pitcher number 2 following Jim Neiman, and here's the breakout on Fernando.
Usual Fernando. Changeup was devastating. Fastball. There's a little change at the Kobe Rasmus that he should have caught, but got him. But that was the second out, and then let's mix in a nice high 95-mile-an-hour fastball. We did not see La Flecha, which is the arrow. I think he's saving it for April 2nd, if necessary.
Yeah, you don't want to waste those.
No.
And so the first pitch from Yates to Langerhans is in there for a strike. Hey, we want to pass along a special hello to a great Rays fan, Anna Satterley, 86 years young, big Rays fan, watches all the games, and she's watching today. And we appreciate her loyalty. And it means a lot to know that she's a part of Rays Nation and looking forward to this coming season. 2 strikes the count on Langerhans. Ball, 2 strikes.
Ooh, nice pitch right there. Can't say enough about the nice job by Jeff Neiman. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Kind of fortify that spot. Here's that fastball in. Actually, it was a little slider.
Way up out of the zone. Takes the count full, 3-2. Rays will be on the road tomorrow in Sarasota, taking on the Orioles, and then Friday in Lakeland against the Tigers. They'll play the Tigers at the Trop on Saturday afternoon. Liner the other way, and that's going to be in there. A base hit. Langerhans aboard to lead off the 8th. And of course, opening day for the regular season. Tuesday afternoon at the Trop against the Baltimore Orioles, and our coverage, our pregame coverage, begins at 2 o'clock against Baltimore, leading up to the 3:10 first pitch where David Price, the American League Cy Young Award winner, will stride to the mound and deliver the first pitch of the Rays season. Yates misses with this pitch too low. 1 ball, no strikes. Hickey has been the DH, a catcher by trade. He was retired in the 5th on that great catch in the left field corner by Sam Fuld, who started out there. And to left center field, that ball is going to be in there. Cut off by Antonez, the center fielder, but he bobbles it now. Langerhans is headed to the plate. He will score. And Hickey is in at second base. That ties the game.
Good piece of hitting right there by Nikias. Even better piece of running by Langerhans. He's got the ball in front of him. That's Langerhans. As far as knowing that it's a gap or double, so he knows he's going to be at third. Then he picks up his third base coach, and he's waving him in. And that's just a good job of base running right there by the veteran Ryan Langerhans.
So a tie game. Lucas gets credit for the 2-base hit. Peter Mooney up here, and the pitch is a strike. Could be ruled a double and an error, allowing the run to score. We'll wait and see.
Keep an eye on Mooney here, trying to push one or bring one with him. Get the corners in.
0-2.
Not a whole lot of speed at third with Nikias, but they're looking to try to get that runner over to third with less than 2 outs. Now they're back.
And down around his feet, he did not offer. And the count goes to 1-2. Nobody out here in the 8th. And that one hits him. So Mooney hit by a pitch, and he'll head to first. Men at first and second, nobody out.
Second baseman number 68, John Tolosano.
John Tolosano is going to be the hitter now.
Trying to come in on him tight. And completely missed. Yates having a little trouble here, Dwayne, in this top half of the 8th.
Well, let's see what the Jays do after that little conference. Tolosano with men at first and second, nobody out.
And if strength training is about one thing, is about working on a lot of plays, and here's one of them right there. and you're going to take advantage of it, even if they don't care if the runner's standing on second base. Just for sheer work through, you might, try to do the little pick off. Here comes Ryan Roberts, going to tell him some of the plays because we're working on it. And it might be, in fact, Joe probably is hoping for a bunt right here because he wants to see his players do the little rotation and be on point. And here's a little tricky one that they've probably been working on. I love that one right there. Fake the runner back to second with the second baseman, and the pickoff is actually to first.
Roberts in again to chat with Yates, just so they're all on the same page. And if you're going to play for Joe Maddon, you've got to be on your toes, because there will be, if there's a way to take advantage of a situation, Maddon's going to try to figure it out. Tough enough sometimes just to figure out the defensive alignments and who should be the cutoff man and all of those things. And you get into these situations, Joe's always looking for that edge.
Not to mention the shifts that he's pulled. I mean, notorious shifts. One of which is pull right-handed hitter shifts, which I, very rarely have ever seen pull right-handed shifts where he'll bring the second baseman completely over.
Two and one. Nobody out in the eighth. It's going to even the count. 2-2. The left field line. That ball is going to drop in there, and the bases are going to be loaded. Didn't hit it hard, but dropped it just fair. Tolosano is aboard.
Left fielder number 87, Jonathan Jones.
Worked better than a bunt. He was able to just kind of place that one out there and left, and here comes pitching coach Jim Hickey to chat with the young kid Yates.
Well, the bases are loaded. Tie game, nobody out. Let's check in with Todd Callis. Todd?
Dwayne, the pressure's on right now for the guest manager, Doug Amaral. He's actually the owner of the River City Grill in Punta Gorda, Joe Maddon's favorite restaurant in spring training. He is an undefeated 3-0 as a guest manager in his career, but things are looking a little dicey right now. He's actually named a couple of items because of the Rays on his menu. He's got the Maddon the chicken Maddenini in favor of Joe Maddon's preference, and then he also has a Tampa Bay strip. He calls it a little bit better than a New York strip on his menu. And now next year, there's going to be a Chico Bites. It's the chicken bites that Chico Chris Fernandez favors so much. Next year, they'll be renamed in honor of the Rays video coordinator. They will be now known as Chico Bites from now on at the River City Grill. Doug Amaral trying to go to 4-0 today, guys. Back to you.
All right, well, let's root for Doug now, too. Jonathan Jones with the infield up. Nobody out here. And it's popped into shallow right. Joyce is there lining up to try to make a throw if necessary, and holding at third is Nikias. So that's out number one on the fly ball to short right.
The Tampa Bay strip. Just a little better than the New York strip. I love that.
Now Andy Burns will hit his first trip to the plate.
That's a big first out right there for Yates with the base loaded, nobody out. Now hopefully a little ground ball, set up a double play and get himself out of this.
Upstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. 2-0. Nice pitch at the knees, 2-1.
At the knees on the black outside. I'm still digesting what was the publication that was calling for the Rays and the Nationals to meet in the
Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated. Still digesting that a little bit. Good. Another fastball outside by Yates because, and we'll take a look at it. He hit the one in the black, then he went about 3 inches farther away, and he made the kid swing and miss. Because on paper, I mean, you have to consider the Toronto Blue Jays as the cream of the crop right now.
Well, they have loaded up without question. Touched on that earlier with Burley joining their rotation behind R.A. Dickey and Josh Johnson, if he's healthy. Look out. Jose Reyes and Emilio Bonifacio coming over. Melky Cabrera. Mycere Stewart, who we saw today, gives them depth. Ground ball, backhanded, knocked down. Everybody's going to be safe, and the go-ahead run scores. Nikias crosses the plate, and it's 2-1 Toronto.
That one hurt a little bit. They had an opportunity. It was hit hard, but had an opportunity to, if Kelly Johnson comes up clean, it's an easy double play because it was hit so hard. But it kind of bit up on him on the backhand and jumped up a little bit, and at that point, nobody was gotten.
The Rays have committed 2 errors in this inning.
And you're talking about the Blue Jays, and you're mentioning the new additions. We forgot. How about the ones that are coming back?
Yeah, the leftovers. Batista.
Batista and Edwin Encarnacion. You know, oh my. Casey Jansen, you know, their closer.
Yep.
This is a formidable team that seems to have every necessary scenario filled. Maybe questionable to be that middle relief. You know, they're not as talented as, let's say, we are and Baltimore are with shutdown closers, shutdown bullpen. Lefty-righty combination leading on to a Johnson or a Rodney. But nevertheless, still serviceable. And offensively, wow, speed and power.
Well, 2 runs have scored here. The bases are loaded with 1 out. And John Gibbons has been, really, he's been dealt a pretty good hand here with this club and a lot of expectations. Yates trying to get through this inning. 2-2 the count right now.
If you were to look on paper, I understand, you know, Washington and the year they had last year, they came up short in the playoffs. And what we got as far as more depth, great pitching, great bullpen, a couple of, you know, stars in Evan and Zobrist. But it should be, on paper, Toronto and a team from Los Angeles, not the Angels, but the Dodgers, for what they've shored up.
Well, we've seen it happen before, you know, the best laid plans, and they have spent a lot of money and they have accumulated a lot of talent. Now the challenge is to put it all together and see if it works. Strike 3 call. That is out number 2.
Froze him completely. Fastball in with a little bit of oomph right there. Yates, he's kind of been a little upset on the way this inning has worked out. They haven't really crushed them. Nikias hit that good double, but other than that, it's been a couple of errors and hit batters, so it's just been a little frustrating. If he can close the door right here, we got a chance.
The first pitch strike to Rasmus. Upstairs, been a long inning for Yates. Started on the Langerhans base hit. Rays have limited the damage to 2 runs. They now trail by a run. Rays scored their run back in the 2nd inning.
Wind's blowing out. Wind's blowing out to right field. Colby's a dangerous hitter.
And there's a fly ball, and that's why, with the wind blowing out, he is dangerous. Rasmus has just belted a grand slam.
Can I take that back? Goodness. I just peeked at the wind and I go, let me see how it's looking. When it went 2-1, I go, Yates got a nice fastball. He might feel a little frisky, but the wind's blowing out to right. But reality is, the wind could have been blowing in. That ball was going very far. That was hit hard. This kid has got so much torque in his swing. Strikes out a lot, but Colby Rasmus, look at the beautiful swing. You know what I love about his swing is that a lot of kids that are maybe watching or literally coaches is the follow-through, is how he finishes his swing all the way through. That engages your hips and gives you that little extra oomph. And he does that very well.
2 on Blanco now. Here's another look.
Check it out. Check where the head of his bat ends up. A lot of guys end up stopping their swing. Look at it go. Boom. Goes through. It engages your lower half and your hips a little more and actually puts a little drive on your swing, kind of like a golf swing. And boy, did he go hair on him. What's up with that hair? I think he needs to talk to a BA a little bit. And maybe work a little, you know, share process going on there. I'm sure our fearless producer will probably do some sort of CGI during the season of putting his hair on BA's head.
Well, a 6-run inning for Toronto. Pop up and foul, and will be the final out of the 8th. 9 men come to the plate. Blue Jays score 6. 6-1 Toronto. Now 6-1. The big blast, a grand slam in the top of the 8th by Colby Rasmus. Rays are ready for another exciting season this 2013. Experience it with Rays season tickets to get the best seats, biggest savings, and exclusive benefits throughout the year. There are a variety of plans from which to choose with flexible payment options available. We'll see a new pitcher for the Blue Jays, their 4th of the day. Luke pitched an inning in relief, and Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's the opening schedule in April. The Rays home. Our coverage, our pregame coverage begins Tuesday at 2 o'clock, leading up to the first pitch at 3:10 when the Rays take on the Orioles. Baltimore in for 3 and then Cleveland for 3, and the Rays hit the road for a 3-city road trip, Texas, Boston, and Baltimore, before they get back home against Oakland.
No rest for the weary right there. That Texas, Boston, Baltimore, tough little road trip to just start out with, but not as bad as last year's season opening road trip. Remember, I think we had like 11 straight games on the road after the home game.
Yeah, that was not good.
That was a terrible little schedule for us, at least.
Jeffries misses upstairs.
Jeffries has got a real interesting little motion and real live ball. Hard thrower.
Behind Zobrist, 2-0. Take the count to 2-1. Ben looking for his first hit. He walked back in the 5th inning. So he had his WBC experience and has managed 40 official at-bats here for the Rays in the spring. Charged by the second baseman. No play. So an infield hit. Pelisano could not get the throw away. Marty Gant will bat now for the first time in this game, hitting out of the spot originally occupied by Sean Rodriguez.
Seen a lot of hustle by our Rays players. Fuld, Escobar, Roberts, playing hard for Joe.
And there's a strike. That's just foul, and not by much.
Broke his bat on that one right off the end of the bat, but nice little swing by Gant. He's helping out today, like Yates and some of the other kids that we've got here in camp to fill some voids as the starters come out.
Gant played at Hudson Valley last year. He throws left-handed, hits right-handed.
Who's the most famous left-handed thrower, right-handed hitter in the history of Major League Baseball?
It's going to be Ricky.
Hello.
You don't see many of those,
no.
But Ricky Henderson,
it's a rarity.
Cleon Jones, Carl Warwick.
Yeah, Mark Carrion with the Mets back in the day. Actually, there's one right now that's a pretty top player. I would have loved to have picked him up. He was available for a minute, and then Cincinnati said, no, you're not going anywhere, and that's Ryan Ludwig, who had a nice year last year for the Reds and former Cardinal. And the reason that is actually better as a hitter is because if you want to have your bottom hand, your drive hand, your power hand, the one that goes after the ball and really snaps it, your top hand's your guider hand. You want it to be your dominant hand. So if you're a left-handed thrower, your dominant strong hand is your left arm. That's the one so it makes sense to hit right hand. Just like a J.D. Drew or some of these other guys are righty throwers, lefty hitters. they tend to have nice power, nice swings, very controlled swings. So think about it. Most righty hitters are righty throwers, so they're driving with their less dominant hand, their left arm, left hand.
Count is full.
So when I work with kids and in clinics, I remind them to do a lot of one-handed drills with your bottom hand. If you're a righty thrower, work on that driving and getting your left side, your left arm, forearm, and wrist and hand stronger, because you're going to be dominant and roll over with your top hand.
The chopper, second base. Toss back. No throw. They get the force. Again, reaches on a fielder's choice. It's going to get Matt Joyce to the plate. First pitch strike to Matt, who struck out his first time. Outside of first, foul. Fifth inning. One at bat came in the sixth, and this one is over. Caught looking on the outside corner. Jeffries picks up the second out. First strikeout for Jeffries. And now the DH for the Rays in this game, Jose Lobaton. Each team with 6 hits, but the Blue Jays with a 6th spot in the 8th have taken a 6-1 lead.
Jose turning over here to the left side, switch hitter. Got a couple punch outs, 0 for 3. Got a little trouble with J.A. Happ from the right side. Let's see if he can punch one off of Jeffries. Should see a lot of playing time this year.
Lobaton out of options, and Jimenez, who had a very good spring with an option left. And in the pitching front, same sort of situation occurred. Jamie Wright making the staff, and Brandon Gomes with options left. He pitched well, and he will go to Durham. Upstairs, the thing about that, there are going to be 25 players break camp, but the Rays and most organizations really look at it this way, but they have the full range of the talent in the minor leagues from which to choose, and so they'll have guys at the AAA level and the AA level who could help this team. Lobaton out on strikes. We go to the ninth, 6-1 Toronto. On to the ninth. 6-1. The Blue Jays have a lead on the Rays. A 6-run eighth inning. Fans, if you're watching this broadcast from home, go to FoxSportsFlorida.com to find the latest scores, in-depth player and team analysis, featured videos, and much more. We'll keep you up to date with the Rays and all of your other favorite Florida sports teams. Log on now and follow us on Twitter at SunSportsRays.
On the mound now, the second biggest surprise in the bullpen last year, because obviously Rodney Hood took the cake, but McGee really impressed me. Jake came out last year, and it was a totally different Jake McGee from the year before. And you look at the ERA, you look at the strikeouts per innings pitch, strikeouts per walks. The opponent average kept him under a $170, and the key, Dwayne, was how well he spotted that fastball. He hit all the four quadrants on command, because he really still doesn't have a secondary really good pitch. But the fastball has been outstanding, and we're looking for that again this year.
Well, Jake will start the ninth by facing the left-handed bat of Ryan Langerhans. Yates worked one inning. Neiman 6 very good innings. Rodney 1, Yates 1, and now Jake McGee. And there's a strike.
Your thoughts on him one day really taking on a potential last out of the game type position, the closer?
Yeah, and I think he could do that. And I think the Rays felt like he took a giant step forward last year in that department. And you can see, look at the breakout there. Oof. Against righties.
Yeah, just sick. All of that was really predicated on the control, the command. And, you know, we heard from Jim Hickey earlier with Todd, pitching coach, Jim Hickey, and talking about Matt Moore and the repetition, doing the same thing over and over. And that's where this kid got in sync last year. Something clicked out of spring training where all of a sudden the repetition was right on point. He did the same thing over and over. And baseball, probably more than any sport, is a game of proper, perfect repetition.
Picks up the edge to run the count full.
And also confidence. I think, you know, you've seen so many players throughout the years that he just had a different way of walking out to the ballpark and onto the pitching mound than he did the year before, which was his rookie year. Basically, he got called up early and got shellacked. I remember, I think it was Jeter or somebody hit a big home run off him early, and he wasn't really the same the rest of the way of the season.
Well, you know, Joe Maddon talks about the different level of players. Ball four and Langerhans goes to first. And I'm sure from your experience playing in the big leagues, you probably went through the same situation where at first you're just happy to be there. And that's one thing. And you get to the point, for an example, he's talking about Longoria now. Longoria, he'd won all these awards. He wants to stay healthy. He's got the big contract. And it goes from a point of you want to make the big leagues. Then you put all of those awards and the accomplishments behind you. And Maddon talks about being a level 5 player where winning, you know you belong. You absolutely go through that stage. And then you get to a point where winning, excellence and winning is what it's all about. And that's where he thinks Longoria will be in this stage of his career in a leadership capacity.
I have to agree with you. I think there's different phases of becoming a bona fide major leaguer. And obviously we're talking about the upper echelon players, and we're talking about David Price and Evan Longoria. But just establishing yourself to being a good, strong major league player, you go through those even question marks early on when you just get up there, whether you make a team out of spring training or you got called up. You have trepidation. And as much as you want to be cocky and be a little swagger, you're still looking at the bright lights, big city. Then you kind of get, broken in and you work it through. But that's what I think Jake McGee's been able to do. And again, he's got a great coaching staff and great teammates. That roster of pitchers alone that he's been around for the last 2 years, big help.
Into center field. Antunez is there to make the catch. That's the first out. Well, a couple of things about that. Number one, you're playing a game that is not as easy as it appears. It's a difficult game regardless of which side of the baseball you're going to play on, whether you're a pitcher or hitter, whether you're a defender or not. It's a difficult game. And you're playing with and against the best in the world. And so it takes some growth of confidence and comfort to get to a point where you're absolutely determined and satisfied that you can compete there and be successful.
That is the key. I mean, when you break it down, here's a little pop-up.
Handled by the shortstop, Zobrist. 2 gone.
It's not really the speed of the game, though. It's everybody's good when you get up there. And since these sports like baseball, even football in the trenches or basketball, are quick twitch muscle games. So you have to make quick decisions so finite that you have no time to not have tunnel vision. So what happens as a young player or a player that's not ready to be in prime time, you don't have tunnel vision. You're a little open. I think of a kid, Alex Gordon. I remember seeing him in spring training years ago, and I go, this kid's a no-doubter. And then he did not have blinders when he got his first year in the big leagues, and everything affected him. And decision-making on a pitch, you lose it, and you're done. And same thing for a pitcher. Decision-making as to, and you squeeze it a little bit, and you hang it. And all of a sudden, you're in trouble.
2-0 the count to Tolosano, the second baseman. And McGee picks up the strike zone. 2-1. So you're really talking about extreme concentration.
Right.
The ability to do that. That was nice and easy.
That was nice and easy. And it showed 94 on there, and I thought it was a changeup. Are you kidding me?
I know.
That's outstanding. This kid's got such a great arm. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, a season as he had last year when he was so dominant gives him a great frame of reference, because now once you've experienced success and you know why, you can build on that. It's something that you can go back to, and you know that you've done it before. It gives you confidence that you can do it again.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You rule out at that point now to having to fight through finite focus, as I call it. You're already there. You already know, okay, I know what I got to do. I just got to, okay, turn it on now, and I got to, see the ball, hit the ball, or keep my shoulder in, drive when I pitch. Those things are already there. When it's early and you're unsure, my goodness. So, I mean, some person screaming in the dugout affects you, and you're looking all over the place, and everything is bothering you. Now he's on point. He just has to work on those little things of repetition. Imagine if Rodney Hood were nice enough to show him the Bugs Bunny changeup sometime this year, just and working on it to prepare him for like next year. Can you imagine this kid with that type of a changeup? That'd be sick.
Well, you'd have another guy with a sub-1 ERA.
Possibly.
You'd have.
Yes. Hey, Mariano tried to show the other kids the cutter, Share with the class.
Pop to the right side. To Loney. That's going to be a tough play, and Loney makes it. We're going to see that a few times this year out of James Loney. Nice catch on that foul pop. Bottom of the ninth coming. 6-1 Toronto. We go to the bottom of the ninth inning here. The Rays meeting the Blue Jays for the final time this spring, and they have not beaten this team. They came in 0-2 against the Blue Jays, and they're down 6-1 right now. And the positive takeaway from this for the Rays would be Jeff Neiman and his performance.
Absolutely, Dwayne. He was dominating. He was old school Jeff Neiman from a couple of years ago. You see the downstroke, how he's pitching downhill. Guys are having trouble picking up his pitches. He had the fastball at around 88 to 90. His nice movement. Really good spotting of the outside corner. And then the splitter, slider, curveball changeup. I even saw one that he threw to Adam Lynn. Looked like a little cutter maybe. And had a little late break to it. So it's a very, very good outing for him. I would venture to say we're not the brain trust of the Rays, but that might put him, you know, in position, pole position, shall we say, for that number 5 spot.
Chad Beck, the new pitcher for the Blue Jays. They have a new battery. Beck, the pitcher, and Jack Murphy is the catcher. Antunez, the hitter, and he's quickly behind in the count. 0-2, Ismael Antunez. Ryan Roberts is on deck.
Nice splitter right there.
3 pitches and 1 out.
That one had a lot of movement. Doing some hard fastballs and then tried it. Actually, that was a over the top. I thought that was a splitter with the movement it had. It was over the top curveball. This guy's got a little movement on his pitches.
Chopped to third by Roberts. Burns makes the throw. So 2 up and 2 down here in the 9th inning. The Rays scored a run in the 2nd and led 1-0 until the 8th.
We also saw some good things today, albeit the small kind of maybe seemingly insignificant. Sam Fuld ran very well today on a few balls, made a great old school Sam Fuld play in left. That's big for the Rays and what he brings to the table. And then nice batting by Yunel Escobar. He was going the other way, line drive up the middle. So there was some good signs. You might look at the box score and go 6-1, not good, but there was some really good things that happened today.
Greg Albanez, the hitter, his first plate appearance. He's doing the catching now. Foul back, 2-1. And the Rays will take on the Baltimore Orioles tomorrow night in Sarasota. On Friday afternoon, the Tigers in Lakeland. Popped up to third. It's Burns waiting for it. And this game is over. 1-2-3 go the Rays in the 9th inning against Chad Beck. So the Toronto Blue Jays have ended the Rays a 6-1 defeat here on a cool, clear, comfortable afternoon in Port Charlotte as the Rays draw the curtain on the Port Charlotte portion of spring training. They'll take on the Tigers at Tropicana Field on Saturday after the two aforementioned spring road games in Sarasota and Lakeland. And of course they're keyed for the Tuesday afternoon season opener home against the Baltimore Orioles. Our coverage begins at 2 o'clock for that one. Right now, Todd Callis is standing by with Joe Maddon.
Dwayne, thank you, Joe. Some good things today, some not so good things. You lose 6-1, but let's start with the good things. Your pitching, all but one inning, was outstanding.
Yeah, Jeff did a really nice job. The ball's moving a lot from the sideline there. A lot of good movement on the fastball. Some really good splits, some good curveballs. That's the interim manager,
Doug,
right
Doug,
there.
come on in.
Doug, come here, Doug.
This is a difficult day for him, right? His first loss?
Well, yeah, you know, he was 1-0 coming into today's game. He'll get over it at some point, but he did a nice job. I kind of screwed it up in the 8th inning. It was my fault.
Doug, your thoughts on the game?
I blame Joe.
I like that. I like when I get blamed for these things.
And then, not getting some runners in, third base, less than 2.
That's the big thing. I mean, running on third base, less than 2 outs, that's a play that industry-wide is difficult at times. We got to get better at that, especially in those moments. Tight game, well-pitched game on both sides. He pitched well for them, too. So we have to do a better job of that. But overall, like I said, I was more concerned about how Jeff was doing. He did real nice. And in the end of the game there, Jake actually had 96 a couple times.
And then your closer looked pretty strong coming back.
Oh, yeah. Fernando was outstanding. The ball's really, you could see how game ready he is. The ball's coming out of his hand a little bit differently, really smooth with a lot of jump to it. His split, his forkball, a changeup, whatever, is also very good. He just looks very comfortable right now.
Joe, fitting that Doug's here. This is your final day in Port Charlotte. You wrap up another great spring in this area, huh?
Yeah, most of the time we spend at the River City Grill after every game on a nightly basis. Actually, the true testament is the fact that the Carolina Bites are now going to be known as Chico Bites from now on. And in fact, that's true. Chico does bite. But they're going to be down there at the River City Grill. So when you're down in Punta Gorda, stop on in. The food's fantastic.
All right, Joe, thanks. Guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. Well, another day of work here for the Rays, and as they point out, a good day for Jeff Dietl. Now for Orestes Destrada, Todd Callis, and Kelly Nash. This is Dwayne Stats. Great to have you with us. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast. If not the outcome, Blue Jays have beaten the Rays today 6-1. We're looking forward to opening day. Our coverage begins at 2 o'clock Tuesday on Sun Sports in high definition when the Rays take on the Baltimore Orioles. From Port Charlotte, so long, everyone.